Let's get started.
Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at. My name is Austin.Lawrence, and I am going to be beginning this webinar today. We are going to do a two-part series. The first one is going to be on staging your home, and the second one is going to be on the stock characters of real estate. I am joined by Debbie Fries. Debbie is a real estate agent with Berkshire Hathway, the Drysdale, is that right? Drysdale?
Berkshire Hathway, Home Services, Drysdale's, yes. It's a long, long name, but cool.
It's one of those extended ones. And she specializes in real estate in Sonoma, Solano County, and some other Bay Area counties, but those are two that she is absolutely on top of, and definitely would recommend that you use her in that situation that you're in real estate in either one of those counties. So I'm going to start us off. I have a little PowerPoint to kind of guide me, keep me on track as I'm sharing some stuff with you. When it comes to staging, this is not my area of expertise. That's kind of why I'm starting it off, just kind of giving you a context of it and a perspective. I am a mortgage loan originator. I usually handle the financing funding side of the transactions in real estate, whereas Debbie is more in line with kind of what this webinar is about, which is how to present and create atmosphere to maximize the sale price of your home with regards to staging. And she represents both sellers and buyers, so she kind of has seen it from both sides of the fence. So definitely experienced agent that can help you a great deal and give you some very useful tips when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. Okay, so let me get started with my PowerPoint. Give me a second to bring up my screen and share that with you. Okay. Oh, sorry, I brought up the wrong one. Let's do. All right, dealing with the technical issue here. Computer is slowly morphing into this. Okay. Let me get that out of here. All right. Trying to close down some stuff to get my meeting back up correctly. All right, so. Okay, can you see that, Debbie?
I can, yes, thank you.
All right, so you can hear me and you can see this PowerPoint, correct?
Yes.
All right, let's get going. So I brought up the wrong one, so I'm going to go back.
I was like, what are you doing?
Which is the comedy of doing webinars. Okay, so, and this one's right at the end. So that doesn't help. All right, staging your home, maximizing your sale price. Again, my name is Austin Mountain Bike Lawrence, and my NMLS number is 225079. Okay, so why is staging your home so important? Well, the benefit of staging your home is that you will be able to maximize not only your asking price, but inevitably your final sale price. Remember, people are shopping. So keep in mind, most sellers are reluctant to spend extra money to sell a home, but it is important to create an atmosphere of what we would term turnkey versus a home that needs work or improvements. So that's kind of the idea, is that you're really presenting the best case scenario for this particular property. The bottom line is these elements, when staged correctly, will increase your final sales price for a home. Okay, I brought up, this is what I usually do with homes and actual any kind of a lending situation that I'm in. And what I will do is I will actually what's termed run a market analysis. And if you look right here, what you'll see is within the range of this particular home, and I brought this one up as a minimalist, it has a range of 461,000 to about 508. And that is true. Depending on how well you stage this home, you can get those two prices. Average is probably about $485. That's the top number up there. But what you're going to see is there's a range of what you can get for this possible home, and that can be maximized by you doing some correct staging. So what I wanted to give you was some visual explanation and understanding of that, so you can kind of see what that looks like. So let's get into it. All right. So what are the important elements of staging? So I've kind of broke it down into what I would consider to be, you know, the main parts that you need to consider when you're staging your home. And so let me go over kind of that with you. So first of all, there's curb appeal, new paint, exterior and exterior, flooring, bathrooms and kitchen, as well as solar, and what I would call imprintable paint and furniture, which is what we would term minimalistic. And then obviously manicured and active backyard. So let me get into some examples of that so you can see it from my perspective. And this is curb appeal. So what you're going to see is it's very clean, it's neat, it's presentable, and it also shows that there's no real work to be done. One of the things I would note is, like, let's say for an example, this upper right picture, this area right here with the dirt, one suggestion I would probably have is to go ahead and lay some, you know, wood chips or some sod to get a little bit more texture into that. But you can see it's very clean, it's very aesthetic. There's some beautiful colors, and it kind of gives you that, you know, home feeling. That you could just move right in. You don't really need to do anything and you're all set. Curb appeal is definitely one of those most important things that's often neglected in staging a home. When they pull up to that house, how they feel about that and what it looks like is super important. So curb appeal is one of those things where I encourage you to focus on. New paint. I just want to kind of address this really quickly. It is important, especially if you're doing an FHA loan, that you don't have any chipping paint, peeling paint, stuff like that. So that's both exterior and interior. That would include cracked windows. When it comes to a home, obviously I would try to make sure that you do put a new fresh coat of paint in the house. And I would try to keep it as, you know, not particular, but what I would term kind of as general as possible, so they can imagine themselves or the colors that would best suit them in the home. So paint is important, both exterior and interior. You don't want to see any kind of work that needs to be done when you're coming in there. And that fresh coat of paint inside will definitely bolster the feeling in the house. Flooring. I wanted to give you an example of what poor flooring looks like, because I think a lot of people don't understand how important this is. If you have floors that look like this on the not good section over there, just keep in mind that is going to detract from the value of the home and the feeling. So over here, I wanted to show you, not only do you want to really do the flooring, but you also want to take that next step and do some staging, putting some furniture in there and giving it a nice kind of solid feel. And you can even see they've added some window dressing on this particular one, just to give it that kind of that home feeling, so you can imagine what that would look and feel like as you move in. You can see the staging here is very minimalistic on this lower one, and that's kind of the idea. You just want the basic elements, some pictures on the wall, some basic furniture in there. Flooring, also, just to address one of the most important issues, let me just address my kind of bugaboo about this: carpet. Carpet usually stinks and holds a lot of dirt and stuff. So I always encourage you to not only clean the carpets, but if you can, replace them. All right. So without getting too deep into that, those weeds, bathrooms and kitchens. This is one of those things where I recommend strongly that you get some staging ideas, because having some clutter on there is not good in most situations. So you want your bathroom and your kitchen to look clean. And it's okay, you could see they put some fruit up here and stuff like that, maybe some basic stuff to kind of give you the feeling like they're living in it. But there's no coffee maker, there's none of that kind of stuff. All the extra stuff is put away, so it gives that nice clean feeling. And bathroom as well, toothbrushes, razors, any of that stuff, put it away, have the bathroom be clean and organized. All right, imprintable paint and staging. This is kind of going back to that paint area. If you're going to select paints to paint your home, pick neutral colors. And that's kind of what the example is here. I wanted to show you on the left, this actual home actually looks like an office. Because there's no furniture or feeling in there, it gives this really kind of distant feeling. And you can see where to the right, here we are putting in some carpet, some just basic stuff that makes it feel like a livable home. And that's kind of what you want to shoot for, is a very minimalistic kind of placement of furniture, paintings, etc. in that home to give the feeling that they can, move right in and be living there, and what that, staging would look like. You want it to be imprintable because you want them to feel like this isn't how they want it, but it gives kind of that general feeling of something that they can kind of relate to. Backyards. A lot of the times I walk into backyards and I am astounded by the lack of staging in backyards. So again, this has a lot to do with that curb appeal. When somebody walks into a backyard, I would have some furniture out there, have a barbecue out there. I wanted to bring this picture as an example. This chair should have been removed, and this barbecue should have had the cover removed from it too. You want that feeling like they could just move in and start living in that home. I was going to address some of the values that we've started to see, but you could see that values are going up, and the more staging you do, the more value you're going to get, and that's the key to this. All right, that's it for me. I wanted to just give you a basic introduction to this. Debbie's going to kind of get more into the details of that because this is her cup of tea. Again, here's my information. Please share this or reach out to me if you have any questions, concerns. Otherwise, I'm going to stop sharing at this point, and I'm going to turn it over to Debbie Freeze.
Hey,
all right, Debbie.
Austin.
Take it, run.
All right, you got it. Thanks so much for all of that information. The pictures really do tell, speak 1,000 words. And so the staging part of it actually begins in, I would say, a secondary place. First off, you want to make sure that you have a really good handle on what is in that home. One of the thoughts that I had, before I go any further, just let me tell you, I'm Debbie Freeze, your Rockstar Realtor, DRE number 020626026. Anywho, so you want to make sure that what's behind the pretty picture is solid. So what we recommend is, first of all, when we are talking with home sellers about listing their home, we want to make sure that it is a solid home, so that when offers come in and the inspections begin with those buyers, there are no surprises. So we actually recommend a whole home inspection, a roof inspection, and a pest inspection. So I have seen homes that look just beautiful, even more beautiful than the pictures Austin had. But when I looked at the reports, the house was crumbling. So you can paint a lot of nice things and do a lot of nice staging and all of those things, and it might look move-in ready, but then you've got maybe $50,000 worth of foundation work, or the roof needs to be replaced. There hasn't been a new roof on it for 20 years. So those are the things we start with. The best advice that I can offer is that the money that you spend, especially if you're a seller and you want to maximize your profit, would be to look at the things that make the best return on investment. And Austin is absolutely correct. The curb appeal, the carpet, the paint, clean, and landscaping. And of course, the bathroom and the kitchen. So I'm drawing on some experience that I just had recently. I walked through a home, and these are folks that didn't want to spend a lot of money. And just as an aside, I can also assure you that listing with Berkshire Hathway, we have a program called Get Ready Capital that you can use to tap into your profit when you sell your home, and it comes out at the escrow at the end of the transaction when you close and the new buyer buys the home. That's when the cost comes out, and there's no interest. So it's a program called Get Ready Capital. It can be used to pay for those inspections, which can be costly, but in the end, they can also give you a lot of bargaining power. So on the negative side of that, you might see some real work that needs to be done that's going to be very expensive. On the other side, you can get a clean bill of health with just some minor things that need to be done to your home. But then you can use that as bargaining power, because when the offers come in, you can say, hey, this home is move-in ready. You're not going to have to do anything to it. That also helps me with a pricing strategy, because besides looking at comparables, I can also look at, all right, what needs to be spent to bring this home up to speed. The particular home that I looked at a couple of weeks ago, there was a home right around the corner, the exact same model. It had been on the market for 5 days, and I'm keeping track of it to see how it closes. But when I drove past and looked at the pictures online, it was immaculate. On the other hand, I drove past this particular home. The garbage cans were in the front yard. The front yard was dirt and weeds. When I went inside, there was laundry everywhere. There were toys everywhere. Now, it's fine because, I mean, they have 2 little children, and I would expect that. But when you're getting ready to sell the home, all that needs to go. And we talked about that, and they understood that. But that's something you can do. Clear all the clutter, clear all of your personal belongings. And they're lucky because in this particular instance, they have a place to go. And as an aside, when I did drive by that house around the corner, the garage door happened to be open. The owners were obviously there trying to get moved out, and they had stacks of boxes in the garage. So you can do that. You can box everything up, put it in the garage, and when the house sells, you get ready to sell. I don't think buyers judge too much when they look in the garage and they say, oh, okay, you know, they're getting ready to move. So that was number one. A lot of clutter had to go, a lot of toys, you know, personal items, pictures, those kinds of things. So that was number one. And they didn't want to spend a lot of money. So we talked about the home had neutral colors, and it was fairly clean, and it was a glossy paint. So I said, well, you know what? Instead of maybe painting, we can just clean the whole thing. There was some chipping paint above the skylight. So we talked about, you know, that needs to be repaired. And I'm glad to hear, I learned something new today, that an FHA loan, they look at things like chipping paint. We looked at the kitchen, and I think probably in that particular case, spending a little bit of money on the kitchen would be recommended. The counters looked good. There was a place where it probably would be a good idea to replace the sink. Everything needed to be cleaned really well, the oven and the dishwasher. But I also recommended that they just take the refrigerator out and sell the home without a refrigerator, which is also quite acceptable. So the second.
Can I just interject something really quick? Because you're bringing up some awesome stuff. So I think this is really cool. I just, you know, can you address this too? Our market has shifted. We were in a seller's market. We're now in a buyer's market. So I think that's kind of, I really should have brought that up at the beginning. I think our motivation to talking about this is shifted. These were not part of the selling market. They were all removed, right? It didn't matter. You know, the appraisal contingencies were removed, home inspections were removed. Now we're getting into a different category with buyers, and flooring allowances, and these things can be negotiated too. So, you know, like I think you're on the right track, is that we're switching the market. So what we're trying to do is tell you there's some different tactics that are going to go into it today that weren't available 6 months ago.
Right. Our particular brokerage, we've always recommended the inspections up front. But yeah, in this particular case, I look at a home when I walk in. Is this someplace I'd like to live? Can I see myself cooking in this kitchen? Can I see myself getting my dishes out of these cabinets? They didn't want to do a full kitchen remodel, and I don't blame them. And I mean, that's totally possible. And if you're down for that, fine. But you can also do a thing like repaint the cabinets or reface, which, as I did a little bit of research, around $3,000, you can get those cabinets refaced. So they look like all new cabinets, but all they did was take the doors off and put different doors on and different hardware. So that's another thing you can do. They didn't want to spend a lot of money on the backyard, but it does need to be cleaned up. As I said, you can borrow up to $30,000 based on the equity in your home to do these improvements that would wash out at the end of escrow. In other words, that Get Ready Capital would take their money back out of your profits when you sell. And of course, we want to maximize that. That's my job. We want you to get the most out of the home. So what we did was we looked at, and Austin brought these up too, the things that bring the most and best return on investment. So that's where we're headed with this. And of course, that helps. Once those things are done, then we can work on a pricing strategy based on recent sales and some of this, the market analysis that Austin does, some of the market analysis that I do, and we hone in on your neighborhood and figure out, you know, what's the best way to get the most amount of money out of this house. So with those, then you bring in, once all that is done, and make sure your bathrooms are, you know, just as clean as they can be. If you don't want to spend any money, make sure you get some professional cleaners in there. And also, if you don't want to rip out the carpet, make sure you get a professional steam clean company in there to really get everything out. And I think being clean, no clutter, clean carpet. When I was talking to the brokerage, some of my mentors about this, we talked about the big five: carpet, paint, clean, landscaping, and professional staging. So that will maximize your pricing strategy at that point. So that's pretty much all I have. Again, I want to thank you for the great pictures. But once all the basic stuff is done, then we bring in the pros and use some of those tips that Austin talked about, you know, some nice pictures here and there, some nice cozy, kind of make it look like home. But the point is, we want to make sure that it's not too specific to any particular person. So anyone can walk in and say, you know what, I can see myself living here. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you to wrap it up, and we'll go on to our next topic.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, I think you're just so spot on. Because, and I think when we start throwing out the numbers, it can be a little scary. $30,000 to put into your house. Let me explain the difference between that. If you put $30,000 into your house per Debbie, she's probably thinking you're going to get 60,000 more. That's the numbers. The numbers aren't, you're going to spend this extraordinary amount of money to get the house up to snuff. What you're going to do is you're going to actually take it beyond what you think you're going to get value-wise. So we're talking about a return on your investment that is absolutely going to benefit you. Maximizing that sale price, getting the most money out of this, definitely on the top of the list. And I think that's what we all want. And what I think you need to see is that not only do we come from an area of expertise to help you to do that, but we can also, and this is the key to Debbie and I, we don't claim to be experts on all this, but I can tell you this, we will find you the expert to make this happen. For example, there's companies like RoomLift. They can help you with staging your home, where to get the furniture, what to do with it. There are staging companies. There are a number of interior designers who just love to come in and to give you suggestions. So this is absolutely something that I would spend a little bit of time investing in, because the benefit in the end is absolutely it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. We see this time and time again. The people that invest, listen to us, and do the staging correctly, maximize what they're going to get out of the home. And in a buyer's market, that is crucial, because what we're seeing is that people are not bidding at asking price sometimes now. They're bidding under. So you've got to have a justification for why you're asking for that particular price. And that's where we come in. We will absolutely bolster that number and give you the support and the understanding of why that is a return on your investment that's crucial. And again, your sales price will speak volumes. That's it for us when it comes to staging. Staging is so crucial. I strongly recommend that you reach out to Debbie. You want an expert like Debbie to actually help you and guide you in this process, because it's a lot. It's a big part of this process, and something that we're not experts in, you know, coming as lay people selling or purchasing a home. So again, this is Debbie Fries, Berkshire Hathway. She's in Bodega Bay and in Vallejo. Those are kind of her two main hubs. And she does a lot of business in Fairfield as well. So Sonoma, Solano County, you couldn't ask for a better expert, better support system than Debbie for this. So I definitely suggest you reach out to her. And I'm on the side of just helping with the funding and the financing. So you need help with that, please reach out to me, Austin Lawrence, your mountain biking MLO.
Thanks, Austin.
All right. So anything else, Debbie?
I'll send you that money that I paid you to advertise for me. I'll put a check in the mail.
Thank you. I appreciate it.